The ASUS ROG Strix LC2 360 ARGB is a mouthful of a name, but under the long name, the LC2 360 is an AIO liquid cooler from ASUS. And today we're going to take a look at its features and see how well it performs. Among all the AIO liquid coolers ASUS makes, the ROG Strix LC2 series sits in the middle of the stack, offering 240, 280 and 360 sizes, as well as variants that come with non-ARGB fans. The design of the AIO itself is based on Aesthetic's Gen 7 design with a custom pump cap and ROG logo on the radiator. The pump, of course, is an Aesthetic Gen 7 pump and features the ROG logo and some lighting beneath it. The tubes are sleeved like most AIOs around today, and the mounting mechanism used is Aesthetic's standard hardware. This mounting system is modular and allows swapping between mechanisms for different sockets relatively easily. This one is for AM4, and just like that, it's LGA 1200. New units sold will also include the LGA 1700 mounting hardware for use with Intel's new 12th Gen CPU platform. On AM4, the mounting uses the stock AM4 backplate, which these posts then screw into. The pump bracket goes on top and thumb screws hold everything down. On Intel platforms, there is a backplate included with the cooler, and the rest of the process is pretty similar. On this cooler, the pump speed goes up to 2800 RPM, which is pretty standard for Aesthetic pumps. And this one is PWM controlled as well. But make sure to set your motherboard to PWM mode to be able to control the pump speed, since many motherboards will actually default to DC mode if you plug it into a pump header. The fans, on the other hand, go up to an insane 2600 RPM. Take a listen to this. Most PCKs or AIO fans go up to around 1800 or 2000 RPM, which creates an audible noise, but it's still a level that can be easily covered up if you close the side panel of your case. This, on the other hand, sounds like a jet engine at 2800 RPM. And a spoiler for the test results later, this high in RPM is completely unnecessary. If you do get this AIO, make sure to set the maximum speed to around 60%. The RGB on the fans are connected via the standard 3-pin 5V ARGB headers, which is nice because you can control it via the motherboard or with RGB hubs, like this one on the new Dreamcore Phantom system. Check out this new system, by the way, on the Dreamcore website. Now, while the fan's RGB control is great, the pump's RGB is controlled only via USB and ASUS's Armoury Crate software, with no way to control it via the standard 4-pin connector. If you're not using an ASUS motherboard, the motherboard can control the fan's RGB but not the pump's. And Armoury Crate can control the pump but not the fans. Kind of a weird experience. With that out of the way, let's get to performance testing. We'll start off with a stock 142W Ryzen 7 5800X. This CPU is infamous for being difficult to cool due to its small die size yet relatively high power. At around 140 watts, the power load of the CPU is not able to fully saturate even a 240mm radiator. So what we are testing for here is how strong the pump and the heat transfer solution is. Leading the chart is Arctic's Liquid Freezer 2 360 with the offset mount used. Because Ryzen's core chiplets are not in the center of the package, this mounting puts the center of the cold plate directly on top of the core chiplets instead. Because of that, the Liquid Freezer 2 tops the chart at 83.3 degrees Celsius. Impressively, the ASUS cooler is not far behind, with 83.8 degrees with its stock thermal paste. Swapping out the thermal paste for Arctic MX4 increases the core temperature to 84.8 degrees. So ASUS's stock pump and thermal transfer solution is actually pretty good. Now, to really illustrate the fan's RPM problem, we put the ASUS LC2 360 on Intel's new Core i7 12700KF. Using the CPU's default PL2 power limit of 220 watts, the fans running at full speed achieved an 83.2 degrees C core temperature. But the cooler sounded like this. Like I alluded to before, this is completely unnecessary. Lowering the fan setting to just 60% resulted in a fan speed of 1800 RPM, which increased core temperature by only 1 degree Celsius, which emitted much less noise. You can even go one step further and lower the fan speed to about 40 to 50%, which further reduces the noise generated by the cooler for slightly higher temperatures. Take a listen to these noise samples. So that's the ASUS ROG Strix LC2 360 ARGB. For AMD CPUs, the cooler performs well on the notoriously difficult to cool 5800X and will cool the Ryzen 5, Ryzen 9s easily. For Intel's new 12th Gen CPUs, the cooler has no problem handling the 12700KF at a full PL2 of 220 watts. The Core i9's 241W PL2 might push the cooler a bit harder, so you might need to deal with a bit more fan noise on this cooler. The fans have an RPM cap of roughly 2600 RPM, which is sort of good if you do want to push a CPU with this cooler, but the noise at full speed is just unbearable. Make sure to limit your fan speed to 60 to 70% if you do get this cooler. Last but not least, we would like to see the pump's RGB be controllable via the standard 5V ARGB header. If it had a screen or something, USB would be appropriate, but this is just a few LEDs, so 5V ARGB is still the way to go. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.